I went down and got my physical examination one day, and I walked in, sat down, got good and drunk the night before, so I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning, because I wanted to look like the all-American kid from New York City. I wanted to feel like I wanted to be the all-American kid from New York. And I walked in, sat down, and I was hung down, brung down, hung up, and all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I walked in, I sat down, and they gave me a piece of paper that said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist in room 604. I went up there, and I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. I mean, kill, kill." And I started jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill." And he started jumping up and down with me. And we was both jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill, kill, kill." And the sergeant came over, pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall and said, "You're our boy. Don't feel too good about it." Proceeded down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all kinds of fun stuff that they was doing to me at the thing there. And I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there a long time going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I was just having a tough time there. And they was inspecting, injecting every single part of me. And they was leaving no part untouched. Proceeded through, and I finally came to see the very last man. I walked in, sat down after a whole big thing there. I walked up and I said, "What do you want?" And he said, "Kid, we only got one question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of the Alice's Restaurant Massacre with full orchestration and 5-part harmony and stuff like that and other phenomenon. He stopped me right there and said, "Kid, have you ever been to court?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. He stopped me right there and said, "Kid, I want you to go over and sit down on that bench that says Group W." And I walked over to the bench there, and there's Group W is where they put you if you may not be moral enough to join the Army after committing your special crime. There was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench there. There was mother rapers, father stabbers, father rapers sitting right there on the bench next to me. And they was mean and nasty and ugly and horrible. And crime-fighting guys were sitting there on the bench. And the meanest, nastiest one, the meanest father raper of them all was coming over to me. And he was mean and ugly and nasty and horrible and all kinds of things. And he sat down next to me. He said, "Kid, what'd you get?" And I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage." And he said, "What were you arrested for, kid?" And I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me on the bench there with a hairy eyeball and all kinds of mean, nasty things till I said, "And creating a nuisance." And they all came back, shook my hand. We had a great time on the bench talking about crime and mother stabbing and father raping and all kinds of groovy things that we was talking about on the bench, and everything was fine. We were smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things until the sergeant came over. He had some paper in his hand and held it up and said, "Kids, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 sentences, 57 words. We want to know the details of the crime, at the time of the crime, and any other kind of thing you got to say pertaining to and about the crime. I want to know the arresting officer's name and any other kind of thing you got to say." And he talked for 45 minutes, and nobody understood a word that he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. I filled out the massacre with the 4-part harmony, wrote it down there just like it was, and everything was fine. I put my pencil, and I turned over the piece of paper, and there on the other side, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, in parentheses, capital letters quotated read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant and said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of goddamn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I mean, that you said me sitting on the bench there. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the Army, burn women, kids, houses, and villages after being a litter bug?" He looked at me and said, "Kid, We don't like your kind. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington. And friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in some little folder, is a study in black and white of my fingerprints. And the only reason I'm singing you the song now is because you may know somebody in a similar situation. Or you may be in a similar situation. And if you're like that, there's only one thing you can do. Walk into the shrink, wherever you are, and just say, "Shrink, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant," and walk out.